Okay, so we are recording now. This will be edited out afterwards. The purpose of this video, this instruction, is to go over the new CMS tool, specifically in terms of how you write quibbles. So CMS stands for Content Management System. So Josh has been working on this quite a bit. Anna has a bit of an understanding of it as well, and it looks like Ursula just joined us. How's it going, Ursula? So we're going to dive in. So this specifically, what we're going to be discussing is, at least initially, is how a writer, from a content perspective, is going to write quibbles, input them, have an understanding of that, and how an editor would edit, review, and eventually publish as well, which maybe later on will separate this into two videos. Yeah, so Josh, if you want to take it away, and then any questions I have, I'll pose to you.
Great. Yeah. So the first thing I'm just going to mention, we have four main tabs down here that you should know about: homepage, CMS tool, draft, and published quibble logs. Everything that an author, editor, or auditor is going to do as of now is all on the CMS tool tab.
Awesome.
To start, we have three different sections. This top section up here is where everything for drafting a quibble is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll start out with just kind of doing an example of how I would draft a quibble. Uh,
Perfect.
First, so right now on the homepage, we have just a bunch of placeholders for authors. So I'll just say my
Awesome.
name is author one,
Cool.
picking a category. Um, we have a bunch of defaults, actually, as you could see first two. So quibble type is defaulted to binary one. Our bet options default to yes, no, 50-50.
Quibble type. What does that mean, binary one?
So right now, these were kind of the ideas, was that we'd have
Oh.
a bunch of different ways that we'd write a quibble for our lines to be interpreted a certain way based on
Ah,
it. So, like binary is just two option quibble.
exactly. Oh,
Uh,
hell yeah. This is awesome. So we'll have multivariable. So binary will have yes or no, or who's going to win the race, McCain or, oh, not McCain. Oh my God. Who's going to win the race, Ted Cruz or Beto O'Rourke? And then multivariable, I assume, would mean that you could pick who's going to vote, which Republicans will vote for Kavanaugh to be approved. And I assume multivariable means you could select all that apply.
um, so actually, I was more under the impression that Dan had imagined multivariable as just option A, B, and C, or A, B, C, D, like things
As
with
opposed to binary having two options. Okay.
right.
Yeah. So that's, I think that's fine. Perfect. And then
Interesting.
poll. So we could have multivariable one potentially, or name multivariable two something else where you could select all that apply. And that's something we've discussed, but obviously we can save that for later. But and then finally, I assume a poll is opposed to you is as opposed to you making your prediction as a Quibble user and predictor. You provide your opinion as opposed to what you think will happen. Is that correct?
I believe so. And
Okay.
as of right now, the only thing that we're going to be using for, I guess, Alpha Zero is our binary one.
Okay.
It also has to do with how we interpret the line,
Okay.
how it changes, and things like that. So to
And by
start,
the line you mean
so like how many points you will win or lose.
I see. Like, I get you. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Carry
Um,
on.
so yeah, so that's part of the defaults. We also have uh, our defaulted right here. Double click on month and date.
Oh, we skipped a few. So question, I assume, is
Oh
just
yeah,
still,
sure.
yeah. Let's just go in order here. So
Got it.
question would just be, let's just use our binary example of yes or no. So will the bill pass? Yes or no. So that would just be your quibble title, correct?
Right. Yes.
Awesome. And then the blurb would be the summary. That's what we call, at least on the content side, using the your. So because we want to make this transition as simple as possible and use terms, or at least convert terms that are used in our drafting log to then be adapted to this. Because right now for blurb we call it summary.
What
Um,
did you call question again?
Uh,
Title?
so So right now we call question the title. So it says title. So whether we keep it as title or use the new term question, we use those interchangeably. But in the Quibble drafting log right now, which is where we do CMS right now, and writers write up their drafts and mark them ready. The Instead of question, it says title, but we use those interchangeably when we're just discussing things verbally.
Gotcha.
Cool.
All right. So yeah, we have our place to put in a question, place to put in our blurb or summary. Then we have our bet options. These are yes, no, 50-50, but can be changed to anything you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Bet descriptions are then an optional part, which could be just a clarification like, yes, it will pass, or
Awesome.
something else, whatever the situation calls for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, our author line rating is how confident the author is in these bet odds that he's set or she is set.
Hmm.
We defaults at 2, and we have 1 and 3 is just a really high confidence or a lower confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
How does that affect? Does that affect the bet odds, or is that just something that we have just so that people on the back end have a bit of more of an understanding? How does that work?
so I didn't write the actual algorithm for the line, but I believe that it is used in kind of the variability of the line.
Okay.
And I guess it also has to do with our metrics for our authors and therefore editors and how
Interesting.
well they think they did versus how variable the results actually were.
Perfect.
Um, so yeah,
Resolve type.
resolve type, right? So resolve type is best explained kind of with an example.
Mm-hmm.
So like you could have one thing where it says, will this bill pass? And that bill is passing on a specific day or not passing on a specific day. They have a vote scheduled, there's timing versus um, if you say something like you have a pickup basketball game that, or maybe not pick up basketball for this, but something that is up to a certain amount of points. So in basketball, if you play pickup, it's like first to 21 points, and that could take 10 years or it could take 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's more of a resolve type of, as an author, you have to keep your eye on this to see, hey, did it get resolved today? Did it not get resolved today? So just
Ah,
that's for our uh, kind of a urgency that will eventually be put into the system where you
nice.
could, as an author, editor, or auditor, kind of see what you have to keep an eye on.
So just so I believe I understand it. So I'm going to use so we had Apple when will Apple become a $1 trillion company? And that was rebooted often. So I assume that would be a potential tool for quibbles that would potentially be rebooted. So I did that. I think when will Apple become a $1 trillion company? Basically once or twice every month since like September of last year, and finally it happened last month or something like that. So I assume that this would so you have your expiration for the quibble, but this I assume would kind of be almost like a reminder. Is that a good way of interpreting it?
Right, because something like when will Apple become $1 trillion company doesn't have a really end date unless it's will it become by this time, but still could then happen anytime before. When you don't know when something's going to happen,
Ah,
that's the monitor it because you don't know. There's not like a specific expiration that you have to check, and only that time will it be resolved.
oh, okay. So yeah, if you want to go through these options real quick: not provided, not sure, monitor, and check time.
So yeah, not provided, not sure are just kind of you don't know in different situations. The
Perfect.
not sure is really more of a safe, like I have no idea,
Mm-hmm.
and not provided is if it kind of is ambiguous, which is weird situations. But
Mm-hmm.
again, the biggest two, and I think kind of the most important two, are the monitor versus check time.
Right.
Uh, and actually, now I'm thinking of the example of pickup basketball, but the real example between the two is you have an NBA game, which is
Mm-hmm.
going to be done in 3 hours, and there's timed amount of time, versus like Wimbledon can go on forever a game because it's not win by two, and you can presumably play sets until multiple days
Mm-hmm.
of play, and that is possibly a monitor.
I see. Okay. So the check time would be like, hey, the 3 hours has passed. Check on it and so on. Whereas monitor would be like you said, there's no particular end date for it. It could occur at any time. Correct.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So let's say this one, will the bill pass, is going to be a check time type of thing because there's a day where they're going to vote, and
Mhm.
then our expiration date is going to be the day that they vote, whatever it is. We'll say click something. Um, Expiration time then is defaulted to 11:59:59. If it's not a specific time, you might as well not change it. Um, if it's something like a baseball game, at the end of the baseball game or end of a sports game is really the best kind of example for when it's a specific time. So like if a game starts at 3 p.m., you don't want people voting at 4 p.m.
Right.
So you'll put in the time.
Hmm. Cool.
Um,
And these times are Eastern, right?
and these times are Eastern, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. And then right below it, so you have 9:26:18 at just 1 minute shy of midnight. So that does that correspond with the resolve type, the check time in this case?
Does it?
Or is that, oh no, that's just the that's just another reiteration of that column of expiration.
Yeah, this is for the system. Really, it just kind of does a
Ah, I see. Okay, cool.
yeah, for a date.
Awesome. I see, I see. Perfect.
Great. Then after that, we have our article link, self-explanatory.
Perfect. Right now, we in the Quibble drafting log, it says external link, but it is pretty self-explanatory. So external link, article link. I think article link makes more sense than the term external link. But anyways, yeah. And then nicer image link right there. Perfect.
Yep. And then the read more link,
Mm-hmm.
which is a few of extraneous links to be adding.
Perfect.
We have a spoiler tag, so if you're talking about something that happened on last night's American Idol and
Mm-hmm.
people might not want to read it, you can put on the spoiler tag.
Nice. That's cool. So I assume. I mean, I can't think of a like. I mean, unless you're great, like in politics nutcase, that it would probably only apply to sports or mostly entertainment, but maybe sports. I assume, right?
Yeah, probably mostly entertainment, and then I'd assume things like maybe the Super Bowl a day after, or like like
Yeah.
big events that are generally considered
Right.
things that you wouldn't just bring up if somebody
Yeah. Exactly. Nice.
yeah.
Cool.
I think it's a little to the discretion of the author, but it's pretty and editor too, because you'll have the editor look at it before it's submitted. But yeah, it's usually up to their discretion.
Perfect.
Um, then after this, we have our sub channels. So from over here, when we put in politics, our category comes up to here.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that, we're going to get a whole bunch of different data validations. So now we
Nice.
can take all of the hashtag sub channels from politics,
Mm-hmm.
U.S. elections, and then anything from U.S. elections, presidential primaries.
Ah,
Great.
nice. So there's the
Um,
category, subcategory, or well, we'll call it subchannel because that's what it says. So there's the. Would you call politics the category? You said that you would use the term category for politics, right?
yeah, and there was a little bit of confusion throughout different people I've heard in the company with the words channel and category.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been discussed, and I'm not 100% sure if it's been finalized
Uh
or
huh.
like changed to a single source of truth.
Right.
But as of now, this is your category, and then you
Awesome.
have your sub channel one, sub
Subchannel
channel
channel
two.
two. Awesome. So in this case, so politics would be the category. U.S. elections would be subchannel one. So the category within politics, and then subchannel two would be the category within subchannel one. I guess the subcategory or second subcategory. Okay. Awesome. Nice.
Um, so then next we have league, new event, store as this little section. So in general, our leagues and events are not put into our the hashtag tables. It hasn't been written up by the people doing hashtags in our storage over here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really in use
Yeah.
as a data validated or kind
linked
of
up
modern
and
thing,
yeah.
but you can put in kind of dummy, not dummy, but kind of just guesses of leagues and events
Hmm.
if it kind of is applicable. You really think that it's important to put in, like, let's say this was I don't know. We could say this was uh healthcare bill or something like
Perfect.
important that we thought would eventually be something we want to tag.
Hmm.
We'll put that in there. Same thing for event if you wanted to do event. Um, and what it'll do is it'll store that as a league in your section for the storage.
Hmm.
And just kind of keep that there for when we eventually want to migrate new information or add new additions.
Cool. So one thing, let's see. Yeah, so the healthcare bill would be would be the league, and then the event would be what, like the vote. There was I went over this with somebody. I don't know if it was you, but kind of had I think it was Ben maybe, but had a little difficulty grasping the concept of what the difference between a league and an event is. So if you could go over that in just a quick summary.
So yeah, so that's been a common kind of theme too with us.
Okay.
It kind of
Let's we'll skip it for now. And then it'll be something that we'll come back to and maybe have like a 1 minute or 2 minute video on, because initially, are we going to be using league and event initially right off the
yeah,
bat when this launches?
it's really just unless you have a strong feeling that I really need to make sure that it's not used for our actual system. It's more you can use it right now to denote something so it's stored later and you can see, oh, we wanted to talk about healthcare bill here. This is how we're going to migrate it because of that. But it's not going to be used on our website right away.
Ah, okay, perfect. All right, so yeah, we'll table it for now, and then maybe a week or something, or a couple weeks before we are going to launch it, then we'll do a second, like, very brief follow-up video for that category or section.
Right.
Perfect.
Um, Optional tags are not yet fully implemented in either. Those are just there. And really, as of right now, you don't really need to do much past subchannels or league if you have. The date resolved by will be automated, and I'll show you that in a minute, unless you had a specific um, reason to have it on a specific date that is
Hmm.
different than the expiration date or different than a couple hours after. It's 3 hours after. But
Hmm.
so once we have all that filled in, or whatever we want to be filled in,
Hmm.
we'll then press the submit button.
Nice. And this is a writer would then submit this to be sent to an editor. Is that correct?
Right. So the revisals part isn't fully implemented either. We did it to the fact that we can use and see all of our quibbles and we can edit them. However, we don't have the actual revision process with editors yet. And I guess as the media team, you guys can kind of implement that itself. So we
Perfect.
have two storage logs,
Hmm.
and
One
this,
one thing just before we move on to that is let's see, so we got a couple more, maybe 10 more minutes, and then we'll end it. But so if you could go back to resolved by, so I assume resolved by is I'm going to use the example that I think this would apply to. So let's say there's March Madness. You don't want to have a quibble closed out, I guess is the term that Ben uses. So I assume resolve by means that it gets closed out and points get allotted to the quibble users that place their predictions. Is that correct? Is that what that's for?
that's correct. Yeah.
Awesome, perfect. All right, right on to that next one.
So yeah, so we have this submitted now, and now as my name is author one, I go and I find my name in the quibble directory
Mm-hmm.
with an author one, and I now want to find my quibble. Go over to drafted because I just drafted mine. Click my quibble because that's the ones that are only to
Sure.
me. So if I did
So
author
so
two over
you're
here,
you're author one, and then I'm not sure what three means under drafted.
so yeah, so quick note actually, somebody had said this to me. I think it might have been Ursula,
Mm-hmm.
but we are going to. I'm going to put and I actually do this pretty quickly, and I'll do this right after. But
Okay.
right up here, we're just gonna kind of show the ID number. So basically, what happens is in the quibble log, there's a hidden row up top that just keeps having a addition each time you make a new quibble,
Ah,
and
okay.
like the ID of your quibble and how like it's found.
Ah, nice.
Um, and so like in general though, if I went to like author two, that's gonna disappear. But there would be nothing there because like author two didn't write that quibble. It
Hmm.
only shows the quibbles that I drafted
Hmm.
or
And by
published.
drafted, you've written him up, you've hit submit, and now it is a drafted quibble, correct?
Exactly.
It's ready
You're
for
in
review.
the author box.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome.
So yeah, so I pull up the drafted one again,
Hmm.
and it'll say like three up there, so you might just like remember your.
Ah, nice. And everything auto populates because you hit submit and all of your data that you put in is there.
Yep.
Awesome.
So now I got this up. Um, let's see. I could then change my bet options to A and B instead of yes and no. I could have done this before, but if I now all of a sudden think I need to change these, um, they're not all of a sudden saved by doing this. What you have to then do is click the save button.
Okay. And then you're just using A and B as just variables, right? So as opposed to we had the word yes in the top slot for the prediction option, and then we had the word no in the bottom slot for the prediction option. So we could change it from yes to the words it will pass, as opposed to it won't pass.
Exactly. It could
Okay,
be
perfect,
anything. You can
awesome.
add an extra one.
Ah, nice. But then you would have to hit save if you made this change.
So yeah,
Perfect.
if you wrote all this down, you changed everything, but did not click save, it will not be saved.
Hmm.
You got to make sure to click save when you
Okay.
update your different.
And
Uh,
if you
quibble.
didn't hit save and you close this tab, the submitted quibble will still be there, but of course these changes that you just put in will be gone. Is that right?
Right. So
Okay.
let's see. I now take out the question and the blurb. So I'm gonna go out of this,
Hmm.
and now I'm going to bring it back up.
Hmm.
Question, the blurb will still be there because I didn't save. But it'll say now. It'll save this part. It will pass. It won't pass. It might
Right,
pass.
right. Okay. And then is it something where you would want to wait to the end to save, or can you save each time you put something in?
Anytime you want.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. And just I'll show you too. The date resolved by is automatically just set to 3 hours after your expiration date. So
Mm.
this is because it's 11:59 the next day and 2:55,
Ah,
2:59 a.m.
uh-huh.
And yeah, if you wanted to change that for any reason, you could just change that and it'll save once you save it.
Okay.
Um,
Before we bring it to an end, so if there's any other like extremely pertinent stuff, what was I going to ask? How does it work? Let's say that there's three politics writers and two sports writers, and they all want to write quibbles right now. How would that work?
so yeah, I brought that up this second. We can't do it.
Okay,
And Dan just said for right now, make sure that the single view works, and then once everything is kind of set, we're going to expand it to be able to be used by multiple people,
awesome,
and that'll involve either multiple tables or multiple tabs.
perfect. Okay,
Uh,
cool.
but yeah, as of now, it's one at a time.
Okay, sure. Yep. And then of course when it launches, I assume that capability will be there.
I assume so. Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome. What else you got for us? Anything else?
So yeah, the last two parts are publishing and closing quibbles.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So we'll go through that. How much time do you think you'd need to discuss those?
If you want me to just do really quick showing you how it works, I can do that. And if you have any questions, we can go more in depth later. But if you want me to just do it really quick, I can show you guys.
Yeah. Let's do that real quick.
Great.
Thank you.
So let's say this is now perfect. I want to publish it. I click the publish button.
Mm-hmm. So we are in editor perspective right now.
We are in editor perspective. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And then you get that little dialog box in the bottom right, just like before. Nice.
And those just come up to make sure you know it's working.
Perfect.
So now in my drafted section, there's nothing anymore because I didn't draft anymore. It's now published.
Mm.
Go and I
And
pick up my published.
uh-huh.
It's going to come back up. It'll let us know when it's fully ready because now it does all this too. We have our publish date, days until expiration. So
Mhm.
now if I try to close it right now, nothing's going to work because I don't have an outcome in.
So if we want to close it out, we want to allot points to the users.
Yes, once we close it out, that's when no more voting and users get points.
Okay. So if they're, let's say that we had our expiration date and for whatever reason the vote was moved up. I just found out the vote was moved up. The vote has happened. I could then go and close it out, and points would be allotted, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. Nice.
Um, so yeah, and then we pick our outcome. It's data validated from our options.
Mm.
It won't pass. Close. Now we're all closed. We can see in our published log, which is 3, it has all of our information over here. And yeah, I can go over more of what happens in the backend tables if you guys wanted. I know that you don't have that much time.
Yeah.
Um,
So we'll this is good enough for now, I would say. So we'll keep it at this, especially because I'm strapped for time. So here I'm going to actually I'll keep recording until we're done. And then edit it afterwards. So this is good enough for now, and then maybe we'll definitely we'll chat again, record that, and then have separate videos for each part of the process and stuff. Any other quick stuff that you want to go over for that CMS tool tab? Any questions or things you want to mention, Anna?
I think that's good for now. If you
Perfect.
want to either send the video to me or link it in the doc that I just assigned to you this second,
Oh, perfect.
whenever
So
you have a
yeah,
chance.
give me so I'll do my best. So here I'm going to I guess we'll just keep recording might as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna edit. I'll try and edit any, like, if there's a big gap in speech, which I don't think there was. Try and edit out some of that stuff because I want it to be as short as possible, but keep all the information in there. And I got to cut off the end as well as the beginning, certain parts of that, and then I'll upload it onto YouTube and